I got to give you props, man, for your honesty. That story you tell early in the book about going down to the beach with your buddies.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, that thing left such an impression on my head.
For those that haven't read the book, there was a girl that was at the beach, and you guys kind of being young guys. I don't know how old you were, 12 or 13 or something. And so you guys
around 13, 14.
Start harassing her and kind of grabbing titties, grabbing ass, that kind of thing. But then, she ends up in the water, and one of the guys in your crew takes it a lot farther and starts just fingering this girl as she's trying to get away. And
and there's, and like, me being that young, it was like sexually exciting to me because, you don't really see, you don't see that happening, or, you haven't felt a lot of boobs in those days,
Yeah.
I didn't get involved because something told me not to get involved. And then in the end, the guys that got involved got beat up by, especially my friend Joey, who was like the leader,
Yeah.
He got beaten the hell out of because the girl got away and she went back and not told the police, but she got her own gang members,
Yes.
which were a huge gang in Brooklyn at the time. And that's one of the reasons why I started thinking that this could be dangerous.
Yeah, time to move on. I mean, it sounds like it was kind of enlightening and eye-opening for a young kid. Like, okay, that's not where I want to be in life.
Yeah, exactly. And then most of the stuff that happened with the gangs, I should say, when they got in fights, I was usually, on the outside looking in. I wasn't the guy that instigated. If it came to me, I would join in. Like one time, some guy started fighting with me, and and I beat the hell out of him. And it was one of those things. But I didn't go looking for it. Like my friends that I grew up with there, they went looking for it.
And where are those guys now?
Well, the main guy, Joey DeVino, in the book, he's dead. Got killed somehow. A few of the other guys were in jail. One guy that I went to actual high school with, he was a trumpet player, and he ended up being a capo and murdering people. He's spending a double life sentence now.
Wow.
Another guy who lives on my block is spending a double life sentence.
Damn, Carmine, you talk about a fork in the road. You chose wisely, my man.
Yeah, I tell you,
Soon after really concentrating on that, you hit big with Vanilla Fudge. Talk about those early days with Vanilla Fudge.
Well, yeah, I mean, it took about 6 years after that, which isn't a lot. But, and I was still going to school for most of it. I got out of school at 17. By the time I was almost 20, September 66, I was 19 and a half, and that's when I joined the Pigeons, which was Vanilla Fudge.
Well, what was the tour, Carmine? Was it 68, 69 with Led Zeppelin, Vanilla Fudge?
Yeah, that was 68, 69.
That must have been an amazing scene, man.
Well, I mean, look, when people think of Led Zeppelin now, they don't think of Led Zeppelin the way it was. You got to understand, Led Zeppelin were totally unknown. Nobody knew Robert Plant. Nobody knew John Bonham. People knew Jimmy Page from the Yardbirds.
Sure.
But
I just think of those party days and what that scene must have been like.
Well, they had the infamous Mud Shark incident, didn't they?
Yeah.
That tour?
It was a shocking night. Let's put it that way. And,
you know what?
And after it was done, we went to Chicago. We had landed in Chicago airport, and I had told Frank Zappa the story.
Yeah.
And next thing we know is, he wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
And we just felt that, the people that wrote about it before, first of all, some people like who wrote Hammer of the Gods wasn't even there. The next story that was written was in Richard Cole's book. He was there, but he was, those guys were drunk and drugged out. They don't remember all the gory details as I did, because remember, I did those tapes in 82, so it was pretty fresh in my head. It was only 10, 11 years before that,
Well, it's arguably the most legendary groupie, outrageous sex scene story in the history of rock and roll. I mean, it's right up there if it's not number one. And I'd heard that story over the years, Carmine, and it never was done justice until I read your book. It's taken to, I finally get it. It's taken to a whole new level after reading your book. And I don't want you to ruin it by trying to say it now. Like, I'd rather read.
No, I'm not going to say it now because I don't want to ruin it either.
Yeah.
But I just want to just say that it was a very shocking experience.
It's hard to blame you guys. I don't know how it is in rock and roll now. I imagine it's on a lesser scale, but back then you didn't have you didn't have social media, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have you could kind of get away with the debauchery back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't now. I mean, looking at it today from 2016, it looks totally disgusting and graphic, and but everything was different back then. Even relationship of groupies with bands were different. I mean, we used to walk around L.A., New York, or London and see women walking around with see-through blouses with no bras on. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I remember that in Detroit too. I mean, can you imagine today if women did that? It would be all over the social media. It would be all over the news.
Going back to the sort of the beginning of the book, you tell a story about Sharon Osbourne. She sounds like a real piece of work, man. I got to be honest with you.
Oh, dude, unbelievable. I mean, you could talk to Bob Daisley, Lee Kerslake, Phil Soussan. The only one I talked to that didn't have a problem with her is Zakk Wylde.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, because she loves the guitar players, Mm-hmm. I mean, Jakey Lee had a problem with them. Everybody had a problem with them, and it's her. It's not Ozzy.
Well, Randy Rhoads died early, but
he died early. But I'm sure she screwed, just like Bob Daisley got screwed, and Lee Kerslake. Randy got screwed too, because that first album and the second album was supposed to be a group called the Blizzard of Oz.
Right.
Okay, and they sued him for it, and they were supposed to have 25% apiece of those albums. And those albums sold 10 million albums each, or close to it. So they would do a lot of money. Just like when my deal with Bark at the Moon, I had a bonus every time it went gold as an associate producer. But when she fired me, I had to go to take her to court. And we settled. The settlement wasn't including that. So I lost. At the time it only sold maybe 500,000 units. But now, over the years, that album has sold probably another 5 million, 6 million copies. So I was due a good amount of money from that, which I got screwed up. She's good at doing that.
She was vicious on a different level, though. It was like you had this arrangement worked out with Ozzy because you were a big name. You were a huge name when you joined that band. Yeah. And so it was you had found time to do some drum clinics on the side when you would do these tours. And so you worked that out beforehand with them. That, hey, I'm still going to do these things. And she didn't like how popular they were and how popular you were. So she's...
I guess I'm assuming that's it, because when she canned me, she said my name was too big.
Yeah.
And that I need to start my own band. And at the time, nobody wanted to talk to Ozzy, the press people, because he had just urinated on the Alamo.
Right.
That was that period. Okay.
Remember those days? And,
yes.
And all the press people were going, we don't want to talk to him. He's a slugbag, No respect for us, no respect for our country,
You also got to do one of the coolest things, really famous video, the Bark at the Moon video, and got to go with the Blizzard of Oz team over to, I don't remember where you guys went, but you flew on the Concorde to film that video in some max security old mental health hospital, which shows in that video. It's creepy.
It is creepy. It was creepy.
Yeah.
We walked around that place. Well, it took Ozzy 6 hours to get that makeup on.
Oh, the wolf.
So in that time, we would go there because it was a little bit of a distance from the hotel. So we'd all go, and he'd be putting the makeup on. And I remember me, Jake, and Bob, and Don Airy were walking around this crazy house, and we'd see stuff on the wall that says, help me, written in paint. And then we open a closet, and we found an embryo in a jar,
Wow.
And oh my God, this is crazy, but it was quite an experience to do that video.
Hey, shifting gears from the Ozzy days, it sounds like the Rod Stewart days, your days with Rod and his band, were some awesome times for you.
Oh, awesome times. I mean, come on. How cool is it that you do a record, and it's going to sell at least 5 million albums?
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, and that you're going to go out on the road, you're going to play multiple nights in a 20,000 seater. And then after, I co-wrote The Evening I'm Sexy, went to number 1 in every free country. And we were in Australia when it happened, and it was, we were playing in Australia to something like 70,000 people in Sydney. It was just amazing. And Rod was a good guy. You know, when you write a song, he give you your publishing, he gave you your writing. This was a band that he personally picked. You know, we went out on the road. We actually had a percentage of the band of the road. Mm-hmm. You know, which we were a band. You know, we'd rehearse and go to his house and hang out. We would do things together. We would just do all this crazy stuff on the road together. You know,
yeah, the Sex Police, right? Talking about the Sex Police.
The Sex Police. We did the downstairs supper club, which was really nuts.
That's what happens when you give young males a lot of money and free time.
Yeah,
it's
and,
crazy.
Just crazy stuff. Hotel wrecking, and one time we had the roadies wreck a couple of rooms. It had $5,000 worth of damage, but it got all over the news in the city. And we had we had about $20,000 worth of tickets left to sell. And with all that press, we sold all those tickets. It cost us $5,000 to make the 20.
Wow. Okay. I've never heard, I've always wondered, Carmine, what is the deal with I get banging all the groupie girls, but I've never understood the hotel trashing time and time and time again. Is it just fun, or is it about the publicity?
Yeah, it was just fun, and thinking that you're getting away with it, especially in the early days. You
never get away with it.
With Vanilla Fudge and Cactus, we thought we were getting away with it. Didn't realize that they were sending bills to our account.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Of course they are.
Because we were young. We never really paid attention to the statements. We were on a salary that was good money in those days. All of our house payments and our health insurance and car payments, insurance, all that stuff was paid for. Plus, we got a salary every week. So if we go away for a month, we come back, we have 4 or 5 checks. We have a few $1,000s there just to piss away, because everything else was in the corporation and paying for our other bills. Yeah.
Hey, your book, another awesome part of it is just the experience you had with some incredibly big names in rock, and we've mentioned several of them, but there's more. George Martin, Jeff Beck, Hendrix. You tell some personal stories with him. Ted Nugent, obviously you mentioned, but one that rang out to me, and it was because of the timing of his death, was Prince. I was reading this book right around the time Prince died, and you.
Right.
I don't know what strange bedfellows.
Yeah, I know.
You and Prince.
It was a strange. It was a strange bedfellows.
You actually shared a place with Prince for a while.
Yeah, and it wasn't like just me and Prince. It was the woman that owned the house was a co-manager of the management company, and she handled Prince everything of Prince's daily routine. She booked everything, make sure he got everywhere, make sure the recordings were going good. And when I signed on to the house, I was getting divorced at the time. I needed a place to stay. I had 2 really cool cars. I had an old Jaguar and a 72 Pantera. And she had a house and a place to keep those cars. And she was having some problems, so I bought into the house. And buying into the house, she gave me one of the 2 bedrooms. But she did say this guy named Prince, who was their baby act, when he comes into town, would stay there, because he didn't like hotels. I said, that's cool. I'm going to be on the road anyway. And, I'm not going to be staying there that much. And that's how it was. And the first day I went in, I saw Prince. I said, hey, Prince, I'm Carmine. And, I live in the house too. And when you're not here, I sleep in that bedroom, blah, blah, blah. And I said, how you doing? He goes, okay. Everything was a one-word answer. He was playing some music. Is that your tracks? Yep. Did you record them? What, lately? Yep. It was like that. Yeah. And then little by little as time grew, I probably spent about a couple of years doing that with him. We just got to be friends. And one time he got booed off the stage with the Rolling Stones. And when he came back, he was very depressed. And me, Jamie, and him sat around, the table in the kitchen and just talked about, don't worry about it, dude. We were talking him up, pep talking him. I was telling him about Vanilla Fudge when we got booed off the stage in Portland with the Mamas and the Papas, and I tell him stuff like it didn't matter. We still went on to play 10,000 seat places, sell them out. Did the Ed Sullivan show, did the big festivals. It didn't hurt our career, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Then when I actually moved out, and he started getting successful, he played a gig headlining Universal Amphitheater, and he invited me, and I went, and I could not believe that this was the same guy.
Yeah.
Because on stage he was a maniac. He was a total maniac. We had women's underwear on, and he had a mattress. He'd lay down on the mattress and have he's having sex on the stage on the mattress. Making all the sexual noises. I said, "This is the same guy." oh my God, you know. And then he invited me to the Purple Rain premiere. I went to that. I sat next to Sheila E. And that's how it happened. But, you know, over the years, I had drummer friends that played with him, and I would say, hey, tell Prince I said hello. And he would always send a message back. Hello. Tell Carmine, you know, hello back. I send my love, kind of thing. And then Jamie had told me, you know, when we heard he passed away, she said, you know, he always loved you. He always loved the fact that you were there for him when he needed, you know, some advice. And, you know, you were very experienced when he was just starting out, you know, a few talks we had and stuff.
He was just a little wisp of a man, wasn't he? Just a tiny little man.
Oh, yeah, he was a puny little guy. And there's me, you know, I was 180 pounds, 6 foot tall, you know, Brooklyn loudmouth. You know?
Yeah.
Strange bedfellows.
Well, Carmine, we've taken a lot of your time. The book is called Stick It, My Life of Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll by Carmine Appice. This book is chock full of amazing road stories, rock and roll stories. We've just barely scratched the surface here in the time we've talked to you. I hope it continues to do really well for you, Carmine, and thanks so much for the time.
All right, great. Thank you, man.
Okay.
See you soon.
Okay, man. Take care.
Bye-bye. Ciao. Bye.